Confident Speaking Podcast, where you can learn to speak English with natural rhythm, real confidence, and fluency.
Welcome back to the Confident Speaking Podcast. I'm David, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Julia. We're your English learning companions, helping you build confidence while mastering the language that connects us all.
Hey everyone, I'm Julia, and we're absolutely thrilled you've chosen to spend your time with us today. Whether you're listening during your morning coffee, on your commute, or while taking a walk, thank you for being part of our growing community of confident English learners.
Today, we're diving into something that affects millions of people worldwide, including many of our listeners. We're talking about shyness, but not in the way you might expect. Instead of trying to eliminate shyness, we're going to show you how to transform it into your secret superpower.
That's right. Our episode today is called Turn Shyness into Strength. And by the end of our conversation, you'll discover why being shy might actually be one of your greatest advantages in life and communication. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's begin this journey together.
Julia, I want to start with a question that might surprise our listeners. What if I told you that some of the world's most successful leaders, performers, and communicators are actually shy people?
You know, that's fascinating, David, because it completely challenges what most people believe. We often think that confidence means being the loudest person in the room or the one who never feels nervous. But here's a mind-blowing fact. Research shows that 40% of people consider themselves shy, yet many of these same people achieve incredible success in their careers and relationships.
Exactly. Think about this. Albert Einstein was notoriously shy. So were Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and even Lady Gaga has spoken openly about her shyness. These aren't people who overcame their shyness to become successful. They became successful partly because of how they channeled their shy nature.
This completely flips the script, doesn't it? Instead of viewing shyness as something to fix or hide, what if we could see it as a unique strength waiting to be unlocked? That's exactly what we're going to explore today.
Julia, before we dive deep, I have to share something personal. Growing up, I was incredibly shy. I remember being in English class, ironically, and my teacher would ask questions, and even when I knew the answer, my heart would race, my palms would sweat, and I'd just sit there silently, hoping she wouldn't call on me.
Oh my goodness, David, I can relate so much to that feeling. I had a similar experience, but mine was during university presentations. I would prepare for hours, know my material inside and out, but the moment I had to stand in front of the class, I felt like everyone could see right through me. I thought everyone was judging every word I said, every gesture I made.
And here's what's interesting. We both thought we were the only ones feeling this way. But when I started talking to classmates and colleagues over the years, I discovered that almost everyone had these moments. The difference wasn't that some people never felt shy, it was how they handled those feelings.
Exactly. And for our listeners who are learning English, this adds another layer of complexity. Not only are you dealing with the natural nervousness of social situations, but you're also navigating a language that might not be your first. It's like trying to be confident while juggling. It feels almost impossible sometimes.
But here's what we've learned through our own journeys and through working with thousands of English learners: shyness isn't your enemy. In fact, many of the qualities that make you shy, like being thoughtful, observant, and careful with your words, are exactly the qualities that can make you an exceptional communicator.
And that's the beautiful paradox we're going to unpack today. Your shyness might actually be preparing you for deeper connections, more meaningful conversations, and more authentic relationships than you ever imagined possible. So let's start reframing this whole conversation about what it really means to be shy in today's world.
Let's start by understanding what shyness actually is, because I think there's a lot of confusion around this topic. Julia, how would you define shyness in simple terms?
Great question, David. Shyness is essentially a feeling of nervousness or discomfort in social situations, especially around new people or when you're the center of attention. It's not the same as being introverted, though people often confuse the two. Introverts simply prefer quieter environments and need alone time to recharge, while shy people might actually want to be social but feel anxious about it.
That's such an important distinction. And here's a fascinating statistic. According to research by psychologist Dr. Susan Cain, about 30 to 50% of the population has introverted tendencies, but shyness affects people regardless of whether they're introverted or extroverted. You can be a shy extrovert who loves being around people but feels nervous about it, or a confident introvert who's comfortable in social settings but prefers smaller groups.
And this is where it gets really interesting for our English learning community. When you're communicating in a second or third language, that natural cautiousness that comes with shyness can actually be incredibly valuable. Shy people tend to be excellent listeners, they think before they speak, and they're often more empathetic because they're so aware of how others might be feeling.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the hidden strengths of shy people, because this is where the magic happens. First, shy people are natural observers. While others are talking, shy people are watching, listening, and picking up on subtle cues that others miss. This makes them incredibly good at reading situations and understanding what's really going on beneath the surface.
Second, shy people are thoughtful communicators. Because they feel nervous about speaking, they often think more carefully about what they want to say. This leads to more meaningful, intentional conversations. When a shy person speaks, people often listen more carefully because they know that person has chosen their words deliberately.
The third strength is empathy. Shy people understand what it feels like to feel uncomfortable or nervous, so they're often much more sensitive to others who might be struggling in social settings. This makes them natural connectors and supporters in group settings.
And fourth, this is crucial for language learners. Shy people are often more motivated to prepare. Because they feel nervous about social interactions, they tend to prepare more thoroughly. This preparation, whether it's learning new vocabulary, practicing conversations, or researching topics, actually leads to deeper learning and better communication skills over time.
Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Society often tells us that confidence means being outgoing, speaking up immediately, and commanding attention. But this is actually a very narrow definition of confidence. True confidence isn't about never feeling nervous, it's about feeling nervous and choosing to act anyway.
Exactly. And here's where shy people have a unique advantage. Because they're used to feeling nervous and still functioning, they've actually built a stronger tolerance for discomfort than many naturally outgoing people. When challenges arise, shy people are often better equipped to handle uncertainty and stress.
There's also something called the strength of quiet leadership. Research by Harvard Business School shows that introverted and shy leaders often outperform their extroverted counterparts in certain situations, particularly when leading proactive teams. Why? Because they're better listeners, they give others space to contribute, and they think before making decisions.
And in our globalized world, these qualities are becoming more valuable than ever. Cross-cultural communication requires sensitivity, patience, and the ability to pick up on subtle cues, all natural strengths of shy people. Companies are increasingly recognizing that diverse leadership styles, including quieter approaches, lead to better outcomes.
For our English learners, this is particularly encouraging. Your natural tendency to listen carefully, think before speaking, and be sensitive to cultural differences isn't holding you back. It's preparing you to be an exceptional communicator in our interconnected world. The key is learning how to channel these natural strengths intentionally rather than seeing them as limitations.
Now let's get into the practical strategies that can help you transform your shyness into strength. David, what's the first tip you'd recommend?
The first strategy is what I call preparation as power. Since shy people naturally tend to prepare anyway, let's make this preparation work for you strategically. Before any social situation or English conversation, spend time preparing 3 things. 1 interesting question you can ask, 1 personal story you're comfortable sharing, and 1 compliment you can genuinely give.
I love this approach. Let me give you a real example. My friend Maria, who's from Colombia, used to dread networking events at her company. She felt her English wasn't perfect and she was naturally shy. So she started preparing by researching 3 colleagues she wanted to connect with, learning one interesting fact about each person's work, and preparing simple questions like, "What's the most exciting project you're working on right now?"
The result was amazing. Instead of standing awkwardly by the snack table, Maria became known as the person who asked the most thoughtful questions. People started seeking her out because conversations with her felt more meaningful than typical small talk. Her preparation transformed her shyness from a barrier into a bridge for deeper connections.
The second strategy is the power of the pause. Shy people often worry that they need to respond immediately in conversations, but actually, thoughtful pauses make you appear more confident and wise. When someone asks you a question, especially in English, it's perfectly acceptable to pause and think before responding.
This is so important for language learners. I remember working with a student named Ahmed from Egypt. He was brilliant, but he felt embarrassed about needing time to formulate his thoughts in English. I taught him to use phrases like, "That's a great question. Let me think about that for a moment." Or, "I want to give you a thoughtful answer," before pausing to collect his thoughts.
The transformation was incredible. What had felt like a weakness, needing time to think, became his signature strength. Colleagues started saying things like, "Ahmed always gives such thoughtful responses," and "I love how Ahmed really considers what you've said before answering." His pause became a sign of respect and intelligence, not hesitation.
The third strategy is strategic vulnerability. This might sound contradictory, but sharing your nervousness or uncertainty can actually make you more relatable and trustworthy. Instead of pretending you're not nervous, acknowledge it in a simple, honest way.
Here's a perfect example from my own experience. I had to give a presentation to senior management at my company, and I was terrified. Instead of pretending I wasn't nervous, I started by saying, "I have to admit, I'm a little nervous because this topic is so important to me, but I'm excited to share what our team has discovered." The room immediately felt more relaxed, and several people came up to me afterwards saying they appreciated my honesty.
The fourth strategy I call the listener's advantage. Since shy people are natural listeners, let's use this superpower strategically. In conversations, focus 70% of your energy on listening and asking follow-up questions, and only 30% on talking about yourself. This takes pressure off you while making others feel valued and heard.
This is brilliant for English learners because it reduces the pressure to speak perfectly while still allowing you to be fully engaged in conversations. I worked with a Japanese student named Yuki who was shy about her pronunciation. Instead of avoiding conversations, she became the person who asked the best follow-up questions. Questions like, "How did that make you feel?" Or "What happened next?" Or "What would you do differently?"
People started seeking out conversations with Yuki because talking to her felt like therapy. She was learning English faster than ever because she was engaged in meaningful conversations every day, but she wasn't carrying the burden of being the primary speaker. Her listening skills became her social superpower.
The fifth and final strategy is small wins building. Instead of trying to transform overnight, focus on small, consistent actions that build your confidence gradually. Set tiny, achievable goals, like making one comment in a meeting, asking one question in class, or starting one brief conversation with a colleague each day.
I love the story of Carlos, a software developer from Brazil who worked at a tech company in Canada. He set a goal to make one small contribution in each team meeting. Not a big presentation or lengthy explanation, just one relevant comment or question. He started with things as simple as, "I agree with that approach," or "Could you explain that part again?"
Within 3 months, Carlos's manager noticed his increased participation and asked him to lead a small project. Within 6 months, he was presenting to clients. The key wasn't that he stopped being shy, he's still naturally quiet and thoughtful. The difference was that he learned to channel his shyness into thoughtful, valuable contributions rather than silence.
What's beautiful about all these strategies is that they don't ask you to become someone you're not. They ask you to become the best version of who you already are. Your shyness, your thoughtfulness, your sensitivity, these aren't bugs in your personality that need to be fixed. They're features that, when used strategically, can become your greatest professional and personal assets.
David, as we wrap up our core discussion, I'm struck by how much we've covered today. We've completely reframed what it means to be shy, haven't we?
Absolutely, Julia. Let's take a moment to reflect on the key insights we've shared. First, we learned that shyness isn't a character flaw or something that needs to be eliminated. It's a natural temperament that comes with unique strengths like deep observation skills, thoughtful communication, genuine empathy, and thorough preparation.
We also discovered that true confidence isn't about never feeling nervous. It's about feeling nervous and choosing to act anyway. And shy people, who are used to navigating discomfort in social situations, often have more resilience and emotional intelligence than they realize.
The practical strategies we shared all have one thing in common. They work with your natural tendencies rather than against them. Whether it's strategic preparation, using the power of pause, sharing appropriate vulnerability, leveraging your listening skills, or building confidence through small wins, each approach honors who you are while helping you grow.
For our English learning community, this is especially powerful. Your natural caution with language, your tendency to think before speaking, your sensitivity to cultural differences, these aren't barriers to overcome. They're strengths that can make you an exceptional communicator in our globalized world.
I want to challenge each listener to pick just one strategy we discussed today and commit to trying it this week. Maybe it's preparing 3 conversation starters before your next social interaction. Maybe it's using a thoughtful pause instead of rushing to respond. Or maybe it's asking one follow-up question in each conversation you have.
And remember, the goal isn't to become someone different. The goal is to become more authentically yourself, to let your natural strengths shine rather than hiding them. Your shyness has been preparing you for meaningful connections and impactful communication. Now it's time to trust that preparation and let it guide you forward.
The world needs your thoughtful perspective, your careful observations, and your empathetic approach to communication. Don't let anyone convince you that being loud is the only way to be heard. Sometimes the most powerful voices are the quiet ones that speak with purpose and intention.
Before we close, let's review some key vocabulary from today's episode. These are words and phrases that will help you discuss personality, confidence, and communication in English.
Let's start with shyness, the feeling of nervousness or discomfort in social situations. Example, her shyness made her an excellent listener in group conversations.
Introvert versus extrovert. An introvert prefers quieter environments and needs alone time to recharge, while an extrovert gains energy from social interactions. Example, even though I'm an introvert, I enjoy meeting new people in small groups.
Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. Example, his empathy made him the person everyone came to for advice.
Strategic vulnerability. Intentionally sharing appropriate personal feelings or uncertainties to build connection. Example, she used strategic vulnerability by admitting she was nervous, which made her audience more supportive.
Thoughtful communication, taking time to consider your words before speaking. Example, his thoughtful communication style made every conversation feel meaningful.
The power of pause. Using silence strategically to appear more confident and give yourself time to think. Example, she mastered the power of pause, which made her responses more impactful.
The power of small wins building, achieving confidence through small, consistent actions rather than big changes. Example, through small wins building, he gradually became comfortable speaking in meetings.
Cross-cultural communication, communicating effectively with people from different cultural backgrounds. Example, her sensitivity made her excellent at cross-cultural communication.
Character flaw, a negative aspect of someone's personality. Example, being quiet isn't a character flaw, it's just a different communication style.
Authentic leadership, leading in a way that's true to your natural personality and values. Example, she discovered that authentic leadership meant embracing her naturally quiet and thoughtful approach.
What an incredible journey we've taken together today. We've explored how your shyness can become your secret superpower, discovered practical strategies for confident communication, and learned that being thoughtful and sensitive are valuable traits in our connected world.
Remember, dear listeners, you don't need to change who you are to become more confident. You need to become more of who you already are, thoughtful, empathetic, and genuinely interested in meaningful connections.
If today's episode resonated with you, please subscribe to the Confident Speaking podcast and share it with a friend who might benefit from this message. You can find additional resources and practice exercises on our website.
Until next time, embrace your unique communication style, trust your natural strengths, and remember, the world needs your voice, exactly as it is. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep speaking with confidence.
This is David and Julia, signing off from the Confident Speaking podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to Confident Speaking Podcast. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to Master English Fluency.